And we are live here to chat about which way is down? NAOMI and Superman and Lois and everything else we watched and read this week. I think we have some news. I know I'm very excited about, if there is no other news, at least the new show that we're talking about this week. That was the worst pun ever. Immediately thumbs down, immediately negative views. Kate, welcome. I'm very excited to hear your thoughts on everything you watched this week. I'll just say that. And I will leave it a mystery as we go show to show for Kate to reveal which shows she actually watched and what she thought. No spoilers in this table of contents tonight. But Kate, how are you this week? And what news do you have for us?
Okay, so I have a couple things for news. I, on one of the accounts I follow, saw a book called Jane of Austen, which I believe is a modern adaptation, like a modern retelling novel of her works, is going to be turned into a TV series. We have about like 12 Austen series movies on the back burner going on right now. We'll see if they ever come to fruition, but that's fun.
It's a Jane Austen renaissance out here.
We are living our best things that is. Haven't heard anything about the CW one. I don't know if I wanted it or not, but we still haven't heard anything about it. There's another Allie Hazelwood book, the Love Hypothesis book. She has a sequel coming out. I don't think it's about the same couple, but it is similar dynamic. And that is projected to come out in August, so I'm very excited about that. She also has a couple other books, like novellas coming out this year too. But that's her full-length novel, is Love on the Brain. In March 30th, we're getting Moon Knight, which they recently released the trailer from the Marvel TV show, which basically just sounds like, it looks like Batman, if Batman had the mental health issues that he probably would have had, considering it's Batman. Then there's a Hulu show coming out called Pam and Tommy, starring Lily James and Sebastian Stan. We've watched a lot of their stuff, so I thought it would be important to mention. That looks really good.
That's about Pamela Anderson and Tommy something, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Tommy, yeah. He's from Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
And the Bridgerton season 2 stills came out today. Opinions. But we're looking forward to the potential train wreck we'll be approaching on March 25th.
We sure are. Okay, so I'm not even going to put them on the screen because they're everywhere. We've all seen them. We've all loved them, or we have opinions. But can we take a quick preschool pause and actually just get into opinions? I don't want to wait until Bridgerton season 2 to give my opinions. I have gallantly, kindly, I don't know, whatever adverb you want to put in there. Generous, that's a great word. I have held back, and it's time to dive into it. Kate, what do we think of Bridgerton season 2? No, wait, I'll go first. Okay, number one. Kate looks fine. Kate looks wonderful. Kate looks fabulous. This is a Kate Stan account, okay? No Kate hate allowed. We got all of that out of the way. Okay, let's get into it. If they turn her into someone who goes out with just the boys to go shooting with just the boys, if they turn her into a pick-me, I'll do nothing because I have no power in this situation, but I'll be very upset and no one will care, but just know that I will be. Okay, your turn.
Yeah, so there's a particular picture in question that me and Cammie are referring to in vague terms. One of them is there is a scene that I think it's probably an addition or maybe pulled from a different book, because I think they're probably going to have to start to combine these storylines eventually. uh, they are out in the woods shooting, and she looks immaculate. Whatever we think about like the casting and the age of the character and like how we worry about the portrayal, that is neither here nor there. She does look fantastic in that picture. Do not get me wrong. But my fear is that it's going to replace a much better metaphor, croquet. But also, it kind of implies that she's one of the dudes, one of the guys, one of the bros. And like out of the first four novels, the main female, sure, she's the more like she's the boyish of them. It makes sense that she would be the most boy-esque. However, she is so rather feminine, and she is far from a pick-me and a I do only things that boys do because I am just like you, and I can do it. But like, it's not her character, and they're going to turn her character from being a commentary of like youth being put like so much responsibility being put on youth, and change it into a pick-me, and I'm very nervous about it.
Okay, so as usual, I lied about not putting the images on screen. I very obviously had the image in question on screen. But Kate, okay, here's the thing. Does the image look fabulous? It's not even the image. Does she look fabulous? Yes, absolutely. But yes, I share your concern that the croquet game will get replaced by a shooting game. But while I far prefer croquet over shooting, I'm like, okay, if they're trying to, Shonda Rhimes this and make it super dramatic, I understand that something that has big, loud booms or whatever will register better on the screen. Here's a couple things that bothered me about it. Actually, let me start with one I haven't already complained to you about. And for those following along at home, you'll be shocked to know I've complained to Kate about quite a lot already. Here's one. By replacing croquet with shooting, or even, quite frankly, Kate, by having shooting as some add-on at all, I feel like it undermines Kate's character, because what's the one big character, spoilers, but it's based on a book that's already been out for a while. So if you're unaware, that's kind of a you problem. It's big. The whole big character development scene for her is the thunder and lightning scene where she has these nightmares and she's hiding under the desk, and it's like this whole big thing. And one part of that is not just like the flashing light or the dark, but it's the sound of thunder. So to see her so self-assured and looking very comfortable and experienced around a gun just doesn't really feel like part of her character, because her whole character process throughout this book is that she comes into it trying her hardest to act so much like she's grown up. She is trying to convince herself that she's grown up, because by convincing herself that she's grown up, she has convinced herself that she doesn't have to think about romance or worry about romance. She doesn't care about romance. She's out of the realm of romance entirely. And when she has to come face to face with the fact that not only is she not grown up, she's actually very young. She's very inexperienced, not in a romantic sense, although that I suppose is also true, but just inexperienced in terms of, life experiences. I believe she's 19 in the book, 19 at the point in the book when she, spoilers, gets engaged. She comes face to face with childhood trauma that she hasn't worked through yet. And I struggle with and I know I'm borrowing trouble where I don't need to borrow trouble. The season's not even out yet. Who knows how they change this? Could be a totally different story, but it's never going to stop me from getting prematurely mad. I'm wondering if they're going to be taking what it appears to be, which is the route of like, this is our strong matriarch with a capital S and a capital M, and she shoots guns and hangs with the boys and has sass and is tough. And like, if that was the character, that would be like fine, like kind of one-dimensional, a little bit of a pick-me in conjunction with her story, but like, pick her, I guess. Like, she looks great, no harm, no foul. But like Kate's story was our favorite. It has so much more depth and it still has a lot of strength, but it has depth, especially in the context of the Bridgerton era. Like it had a whole societal message attached to it. Anyways, let me not borrow
I
trouble.
mean, well, just to borrow a little bit more, just in case. I mean, it's not like any secret that all of them have a little bit of Lizzie Darcy influence or some other Austen influence. It's written on their cover. But I think specifically Kate and Anthony had the most like obvious Darcy Lizzie influence. They are the closest characters. Their story was the most similar, and that's fine. I love that for them. But in the book, for all the nuance that those books could have, it had a pretty good realization that it's not truly Lizzie and Darcy. They are different characters, and they weren't trying to make this modern interpretation that we get with all these other movies. Where like, this is basically Lizzie. I'm like, no, that's a girl who likes books and like dude ball man. Woo. And it's not the same thing as Lizzie, but you're basically doing that to the character, and then when you're back in Regency, that's what I fear they're gonna do. I'm like, that's not Lizzie. Lizzie is more like uh minimalistic and things like that compared to a lot of ladies, but she's not she's not gruff, she's not overly masculine. She has feminine qualities. She likes to look nice. She has these attributes that are typically feminine attached to her. She's not just like, I can read books and dude bro, and like it's not that. So don't make the character highly influenced by her that either. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's a matter of like, think about what makes a character attractive to a viewer. And I don't necessarily mean in a romantic sense, but you can't really extrapolate, every single different factor. But what makes any given character attractive to a viewer can totally vary. One character may be attractive because they are hard and tough, and another character may be attractive because they are soft and empathetic, and another character, whatever. For some, there may be a layer, it may be a high contrast of different values, it may be a consistency of values, so on and so forth. Okay, so with a character like Kate, what makes her attractive is that she is extremely kind and caring to her family. She is extremely, nurturing towards her little sister. And this sets us up to eventually see her as the next matriarch of the Bridgerton family. She becomes the next matriarch of the Bridgerton family. She marries the oldest brother. She gets the title, all of that sort of stuff. We are set up to see her as that because of the fact that she's very caring, but she has this desire to be tough. She wants to be tough. She is working towards being tough. And what this gives us is the opportunity to see her on a journey after she gets engaged, after she gets married. Her journey does not end at the point that she gets married. We know that she will continue, and it's kind of in the background in the remaining books, blah, blah, blah. But we know that she will continue to progress. She does not show up already the matriarch at 19 years old. That would be ridiculous. And I think that's one of the things that makes her interesting is the fact that she is set up with so much clear progression post romance that gives an additional layer to this book. And it's like they're trying to introduce her to us as her final form. And I'm not ready for that yet. And that is also tied to the age at which they cast her. And I think they're doing that because they're trying to avoid, the ickiness of what, age it would make her younger sister, who throughout the course of the first part of the book kind of dates the brother too, like in a not real way. And also they're trying to make her tough, so they clearly don't want her to be 19, whatever. But it's just, they're just trying to avoid the original story that was told. And it has icky parts because they're supposed to be icky, because we're supposed to be icked out by it. But we'll just not deal with that aspect of the society in which this entire multi-generational story is told. Now that I got that out of my system, what do you say we dive into? Let me pull her up on screen. NAOMI. Now, I took the first stab at the Bridgerton situation, the Bridgerton situation. Let me emphasize, let me stand behind my words. Do you want to tell us your thoughts on NAOMI? This is a safe space. Go ahead.
I don't I don't even have like concise opinions as to why I don't like it because I didn't even get through the first episode. I got to the scene where they go to the tattoo parlor and I had to bail ship. I couldn't make it. Um, she seems like a lovely girl. The problem is that doesn't make an interesting story. I'm watching and everybody loves her. Nobody has any issue with her ever. She has never done a single thing wrong in her entire life. She is what, 15 years old, and she basically has the world at her fingertips. And I'm like, what is this? She has done like so much digging. And first of all, I'm like, you are in debate club. That means you're probably a smart kid, which probably means you have a lot of homework. And you were running around like doing all this detective work, doing far more detective work than the police have done in the past 5 days or however long since this thing happened. And I just couldn't get through it. I assume that she gets superpowers sometime at the end of the episode. Didn't even make it to that part because I just couldn't even accept like her background story of what was happening. I just no.
I think what was interesting about her origin episode, her premiere, is how much they tried to set her up as like the it girl, and they are trying to, well, are you, let me give you some spoilers. So she's an alien like Superman. Not necessarily from Krypton, but she's an alien like Superman. And she has some Superman, Supergirl esque powers in terms of being able to, kind of have super sight, super hearing, control some things, whatever. You can kind of think of her as like this, as the CW's attempt at like a super Gen Z Supergirl type of thing. However, if you think of like Superman, Supergirl, honestly, every superhero I could possibly think of, with maybe, if I'm really going at this with a stretch, maybe White Canary is the exception. Most of the superheroes have at least a little bit of uncool to them, or at least a little bit of an environment in which they're uncool. They struggle with something. With her, there was this opening scene, and this was when I realized, like, oh, this is definitely not for my age range, but like, I sure hope everybody else enjoys this. Like, do not take this as criticism just because grandma, didn't necessarily resonate with this. So that opening scene where she's like walking through this like teen party, and like all the guys were staring at her and all the girls were like trying to be her best friend, and this person's getting her a drink and this person's hyping her up over whatever. And Kate, I swear I thought it was a dream. I swear I thought this entire thing was like a dream
Thank
sequence.
you.
I could not believe at no point did she wake up and it was like, gosh, like Disney Channel original movie style. Gosh, I wish that was my life. Instead, I'm the dorky debate kid. Like, no. Like, they were just like, oh, yeah, no, she's like this super unrealistic. Like, Kate, okay, no offense to the writers, but they've clearly never been cool. Because even the cool kids have like some environments where they're not cool. Like, nobody's cool in every environment. You're cool in like some environments. You know what I mean? High school, middle school, etc. Like, it doesn't matter. And they have her as like, she's just cool in every environment. And I'm like, so when does she wake up though? Okay. Anyways, that, and then she
Yeah,
skateboards away to a Jaden Smith song. I'm like, okay, cool. I get it. Like, you are trying to give me the it girl, and I will, zip my grandma lips and enjoy the it girl show. And once I made my peace with that, it got a lot better.
I just, to me, it felt like they went through any typical young high school drama and they basically picked up any possible stereotype, and they didn't like shame. And I'm glad they didn't do this. They didn't like shame any of them. They were very positive, all of them, but they basically said that she belongs to every single one. Like that's not how this works. She can't be the popular girl while also being the geeky girl that has this the Superman blog, while also being skater girl, while also being debate club girl, while also being Nancy Drew. Like this doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm. There are some things that
And
I
so,
believe, like she had. So, for example, there are some things they've sold to me. The friend that she has, don't remember her name, but like the main like best friend that she has, the girl, I believe them as friends. Super believable. The guy love interest that she has, as moderately believable as any CW. What, like, none of the love interests that they've sold us so far have been like out of the realm of possibilities. Very pretty people. I'm sure they'll generate chemistry. Love it, enjoy it, drink the CW Kool-Aid, like great. The cool girl thing, they may need to think a little bit harder on that one. I'm not quite so sold. Um, I think I have a tendency, however, to cringe at any super stage teen party. So that might be part of it. Like, like I just have this tendency
mhm,
to like look at the background actors, and they're always going to be like these like 25 to 29-year-olds in like clothes that they clearly would never wear. Like somebody
yeah,
search like Gen Z on Pinterest and hope for the best. So they're like in these awkward clothes. They're in whatever hairstyle was trendy like 3 months ago when this was filmed. It was like bad lighting. None of them like each other. And they're all just like
yeah. They're
bopping,
all, and it just
just
it
doing like
makes
the
I
worst dance. It's
yeah. Those scenes never make sense to me. And then like on the other side, you were saying something about how like the only thing that was unbelievable was she was the it girl.
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind having like the story of it being the it girl because it's typically not. So like having that be the difference for her, that'd be fine. But it was like they went down the list of like all the possible attributes that she could have, and they checked off every single one. Like this,
Right.
it doesn't. It's not cohesive.
They got in the
And so then
elevator
it,
and they hit every button 1 through 100, and they're like, it's a
yes,
Christmas tree, this is it. I
yeah,
think the actress, by the way, is great. I'm sure any given list, you pull any set of characteristics out of a bag, and you just pull 5 characteristics out of a button bag. I'm sure she could improv it. I'm sure she's great, she's lovely. She's doing the whole like superhero scenes as well as any CW superhero has done. However, this is really more a concern with the writing. The writing is just sort of like she's everything. Like she's all the things. She's every personality trait. She is every whatever. She is the it girl. And I guess what I'm really more taking issue with then is their definition of the it girl. If she was the it girl because she ran a really popular blog, had good friends, had a hot ex, had another hot guy interested in her, and was killing it on debate team, that would be an it girl. Like I'm down for that, has been well traveled because her dad travels because of his job, like whatever. That I would totally buy. Like that much, sure. But like the whole like she's that, and she's also popular with everybody, and she's friends with everybody. When she walks into a party, everybody's trying to be her friend. It just feels like, well, I mean, it feels super fake, and I don't even know that you can really sell that. And if you were selling that, you'd have to take like more than a single scene to sell that to me.
yeah. Well, and even then, like outside of the characteristics, I had a bit like I was watching her family scenes, and it was painful to me to watch the family thing because like I can enjoy and appreciate when they actually just write like decent family dynamic and like it not be completely toxic or like they're all dead. Like I can appreciate that, but um again, they kind of just went down the list of every possible stereotype for a teenager at the house, and it was like because they had like the put the phone away and like the you're not gonna get a car until you graduate and all this stuff. I was like, can we not do this? Like you're making her the every girl, and just as a ploy to make it relatable to everybody, and therefore she's relatable to nobody.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that because that's like another character. That's an entire personality trait to throw into this. That she is a military brat. Like that's just like a whole
Oh
other
yeah,
level. That's just you just threw that. And she's adopted, which is not a personality trait, but is the main storyline for the first two episodes thus far. Like they're trying to do too much. With that being said, there is potential. Like they really threw everything in the kitchen sink at us. And I think
mm-hmm.
one critical failure point is I don't think there is a single guy on this show who is a good actor. Every girl is fine to good, somewhere on the scale of like acceptable for CW to like even better than CW standards. You did well. Like this is okay. Every guy is straight trash. No offense.
Yeah,
Maybe a little.
yeah. Like, I didn't think she was bad, but there were definite, like, those two scenes that I did get through that it was just her and another guy talking. I was like, is she? I can't tell because it might be her as well,
It
and
was
it
her
might
with the
just be the
tattoo
guys.
artist, right?
The tattoo artist scene is where I bailed, but the scene before that, where she's talking to the other guy that she used to date alone, that was bad. The time where she like runs into the guy in the hall and she's like, "Where were you at the party?" That was bad. And yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
They really could have stepped it up with those casting.
The guy, the tattoo artist, no offense, is by far and away the worst actor on this show. And the only reason that super stands out is because they not only does he get a lot of screen time the first two episodes, and it appears he's going to continue to get a lot of screen time. He gets screen time in situations where he is either one of the most dramatic people in the room or is in a super dramatic scene in general. He gets a lot of one-on-one scenes, a lot of monologues, that kind of stuff, and they should not have done that. They should not, like, even if you're stuck with him in cast, even maybe he needs some time to warm up, maybe we need to send him to some quick improv camp. I don't know what's going on, but they should have cut all of his monologues and really trimmed his scenes and shoved that towards the latter part of the season just to get people hooked in a little earlier, because those were absolutely the worst. I am not surprised that that was the scene you bailed on.
Well, so his I don't even think it was necessarily him in particular that made me bail. It was that I hadn't bought anything up to the point, and then I had to watch that scene. So, like, she was doing all the heavy lifting for the acting, but I didn't care about her character. Like I said, she's like the everyman. She's everything, so
Mm-hmm.
she's nothing. And then the young guy that she's with is really struggling to act. And then they come in, and I can tell he's supposed to be like that, like does not have actual human etiquette because he's alien and therefore his mannerisms are weird because he did not grow up around humans type manner about that guy in the tattoo parlor, which I've seen before. We've seen Enoch before. Love me some Enoch, okay? You can do it really well. But I was watching that and going, I don't like this at all. What's this? I want out.
I completely agree with you. I have watched all of episodes 1 and 2. I do intend to continue watching it. I'll at least give it another episode or two. And most importantly, the big thing I want to emphasize here is this was not made for me. That's okay. This was made for the 21 and under market. This was made for the, whether it's going to hit there, who knows. They put in a Jaden Smith song and a Halsey song. They use the same Halsey song twice, but they're really trying to max out their music budget here. They put in a skateboard and they've done the whole like button down, collared shirts with the short slit, the dad shirt thing that, the youths liked about a year ago when they were probably putting together props for the premiere of this. They put in some work. It wasn't for me, and that's okay. And I will be a happy bystander. Um and wish them the best. Question mark. Superman and Lois. We should talk Superman and Lois, shouldn't we, Kate?
We should. I haven't watched this episode yet, but we can go ahead and talk about it, and you can pretend like I have.
And there's the spoiler. Kate has not watched Superman and Lois, but I have. Do you want me to spoil something for you?
Go ahead. I don't care.
I'm just gonna I'm gonna jump to what they use as the shocking reveal. Let me know if you're shocked.
Okay.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I don't know which of the two boys it was involved in this. I know they're Jordan and Jonathan. I cannot keep their names straight for the life of me.
Blonde hair and brown hair. You can say that.
Brown, curly-haired boy.
Yes, that's Jordan.
Jordan. He looks like he should be a Jonathan, and the other one looks like he should be a Jordan. I don't know what.
Well, one of the actors, I think the actor's name is Jonathan, which really would just confuse even more. The other one's Jordan or something like that.
You know what? They're J names, so fundamentally they don't matter, but, you know. That was a TikTok reference for the kids. Okay.
For the kids.
for the children. Yeah, so curly brown hairy guy, he's pining after Sarah, we recall. She got back from camp last episode, we recall. She was being an angsty teen, and any of us who has ever been a teen, gone to camp, or has any like awareness or two brain cells, we're like, oh, she had a romance at camp. Got it. Great. Lovely. So you'll be shocked to learn she had a romance at camp. But throughout this, I know. Well, save your shock. It gets even more shocking because this is the CW. You know, we got to do shock. We got to do shock factor big. So this entire episode, curly brown Jordan is pining after her. You know. And he also, through the process of the storyline, goes through like a semi-traumatic, scary situation where he willingly goes with his dad to the fortress that his dad's brother has, Clark's brother has, to get checked for like residual blah, blah, blah from last season's whatever. Okay. So excuse me, he's been through like, he's had a tough episode. Basically, they've set it up for you as a viewer to see like he's been through tough stuff and he really just wants to hang out with Sarah, and he asks Sarah to hang out and she says yes, and it's this whole thing, and then she forgets because remember John, whatever his name is, his daughter, whatever her name is, who's like Lois from the other universe's daughter, Natalie. So Natalie has moved into the house. She also starts going to the school. And you want to talk about somebody who has like it girl factor? She has it girl factor. Like she has cool girl factor at this school. Yeah. Like she just kind of casually joins like shop or mechanical whatever class and is like, she knows how to fix like engines and stuff, and she just has this like quiet, subdued, like cool girl factor, and everybody likes her. And that may be another reason why Naomi didn't stick out to me, because Natalie has what Naomi's trying to have. Anyways, so she has that, and Sarah's dad, Kyle, had given her a car, and Natalie offers to help her with the car. So Sarah forgets that she was supposed to hang out with Jordan and kind of like ditches on it. It's like a whole thing, right? So they're just giving Jordan punch after punch after punch. And we're supposed to be feeling like super, super bad for Jordan at this point. It gets to the end of the episode, like the point where like the episode shocking reveal is, okay? So not just like the kids' storyline reveal, not just what this is like. The episode's shocking reveal, and we're like, we get it. She's gonna tell him she liked somebody else, you know, she kissed somebody else at camp. Maybe she even hooked up with somebody else at camp. Like, gasp, like they did already bring up sex in the first episode, whatever. The shocking reveal is she kissed somebody at camp, and that person was a girl. The year is 2022. I just checked on the calendar to make sure I didn't get that wrong. The year is 2022, and our shocking reveal is that it was a camp romance with a girl. Thank you, CW. Very cool. I'm begging you to hire somebody under the age of 35.
I just want to know, like, so Superman and Lois, I know it's like some weird deal where it's like it is CW and it's also on HBO, whereas the other ones aren't. I know it's a whole weird thing. And I wonder if the first season they had more HBO writers. and now that's all just the CW writers. And they're like, I guess. I mean, it's CW, right? And we're all sitting there going, but you had last season. And now this is what you're choosing to write? This is what you're choosing to do.
They're like, we need spins the Kodaks. We need a stepsister. We need a gay person.
Yes.
We need an affair. We need another affair. We need a lady politician. And like they're just going through the line, and it's like it's a yes to any one of those. If I didn't think you were getting your ideas out of like shaking a magic 8 ball and hoping for the best. Oh, also, they haven't let the affair thing go. And I have continued since last week to get mixed reviews on this, but an article came out that somebody tagged me in on Twitter.
Saw that.
Yeah, a whole article came out. So I know I'm not crazy. From comicbookroom.com. Nathan from the 42 cast, shout out, tagged me in it. And he said, "Who the hell watches Superman and Lois, excuse me, and thinks what this show really needs is some infidelity?" Completely agree. And everybody who was kind of responding to that also agreed, but there were once again mixed perspectives on whether or not Superman and Lois is intentionally teasing affair stuff. I'm here to tell you they are intentionally teasing affair stuff. They are dumb, but they're not that dumb. They're doing this intentionally. And they continue doing it this week. Not between Clark and Lana, but between Lois and, what is his name? His name is like John something, right?
John.
Yeah. He was Superman on another planet. So like, if you are, just Superman and Lois hardcore, I suppose that might be tolerable to you, but whatever. The bar is now on the floor. I'm like, well, I don't want infidelity, but at least if it's infidelity where it's still Superman and Lois, like, shrug emoji. If we got to pick. Anyways, they had this whole scene. They had a series of scenes between Lois and John. And I'll be honest, all of them were super cute. All of them were very well acted. All of them were very well done. Like, I don't really have any individual bone to pick with them. And if it wasn't for all of the other stuff, I would let it go as like a cute little angsty thing. But they've made it very clear that every time he looks at Lois, he kind of is seeing her the way he saw his wife. There's this moment where like he looks at her and the sun shining behind her and he's like catching his breath. It's like that kind of thing. And if I knew that we are dealing with like mature, nuanced writers who can write this kind of difficult situation where he's like angsting after his wife, she kind of reminds him of, like she looks like his wife, and when he looks at her, he feels that pain, he feels that longing, he feels sad, and he may feel very drawn to her because of it, but it's not in an affair sense, it's in this like nuanced longing way. If I could trust them to write that, I could live with it. If we see her also drawn to him, and we see that's because she is somebody who wants to fix things. She does care about him as a friend. She knows that he cared about her. If they could write this in a nuanced way, I wouldn't be freaking out about it. I'd be like, this is really angsty and cool and such a good way to subvert the moonlighting curse, because you're not going down an affair route. You're not, like this is like just like a legitimately complex, nuanced situation where nothing's going to happen, but there is still a lot of emotion to play with. It's when they do that, but then they also have Clark going out drinking with Lana, and they're doing like really awkward vocal tones. I'm so sorry. Whoever it, like somebody, director, vocal coach, whoever you've got on hand, key grip number 5, please tell them to clear their throat and speak like normal people. I ask for so little. Anyways, when you have Clark and Lana going off and acting like how they acted last episode, then I'm like, maybe I don't trust you to write a nuanced situation.
What's so frustrating is last season, I think there was always this hesitant, like, when's the other shoe gonna drop? we watched Superman and Lois, like we kept on going, we're really surprised. It was good again. How does this keep being good? Like the entire time we were all kind of holding our breath going, it's really good. It's pretty nuanced. It's not perfect. It is still CW, but hey, it's like understandable mistakes and like we can let things go and it's really good. And just within 2 episodes, we just really know we're gonna really put an end to that hope.
Yep.
So fast. It's so disappointing.
It is. There are still some positives. I'm interested in the storyline of Lana running for mayor. I'm interested in the storyline of Lois dealing with like some past story that she wrote that involved her sister and a cult, and that's kind of coming back to haunt her. And it seems like they might be bringing her sister on this season because of it, which is exciting. I did not care about blonde jock brother in particular last season, but this season they've done some interesting stuff with him where he's kind of feeling insecure about the fact that he doesn't have powers, and there's some kid on his like wrestling team who's probably doing steroids or something. So I don't know if they're gonna have him like, you know, play with substances or something like that because he's feeling insecure. You know, like there's some interesting things going on. But they have had very few scenes with Clark and Lois together by themselves, first and foremost. That's a choice. That's not an accident. They have had.
Well,
go ahead.
And that's not and you can tell that's not a choice because of like, you had that happen for one of their TV shows where the main couple can't have a scene by themselves because the actors clearly don't like each other. That's not the problem here.
Right.
This is clearly a choice of theirs.
Right.
But they're doing this purpose for whatever means of reason.
Right. And before yet another person, with love, before yet another person comes and tells me they'll never do that, they'll never break up Superman and Lois, it's okay. I agree with you. However, please understand, Grandma has been watching this network a long time, and I know that there's worse things you could do than break a couple up. There's like I don't even think they're going to cheat on each other. I don't think we're going to have a true fair storyline. If they do, I would probably stop watching this show, but you know, I've watched worse, so let's not etch more of my lies in stone. I just think that they're going out of their way to create a rocky start to them this season so they can lead us up to the brink of thinking there's going to be an affair and then have them romantically reconcile at the end of the season as if we're supposed to feel good about that. And that's just not what would make me as a viewer feel good. And I feel this all should be centered around me and what I want. So we got a comment last week. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, it's a lot of times, especially in this affair situation, it's they're trying to write like tension and release. Great. That's a lot of how stories work. But a lot of times when you, especially with an affair storyline or other storylines like it, you're actually creating like unlikable behavior in one or both parties. And there's so many other ways that you can create like interrelationship and interpersonal growth and development without making the people unlikable. It doesn't have to be consistently all the time external pressures tearing them apart. But you can also make it so you don't like hate the other part of them. And I don't think I'll ever hate Lois or Clark, but I just don't like that they're making me feel gross watching a character who I don't think normally would do this just for the tension so that we can have the best release ever of their son love. Oh my gosh, they're power couple number one. Like it's not convincing to me to make them seem in any way hinting at adultery. Now, like you said, her thing with John, I can almost get around because that is like it's kind of external, but it's also like this really intricate part of like he looks at her and it feels like it's his wife, and like she does not feel the same way for John, but she has empathy. She is a human. She can feel sad, like bad for him. She sees him as a friend. She doesn't want him to be in pain, and that's like a pseudo internal and external problem. there's so much that they could have explored with that I think they were touching on the surface of last season. And for them to just go, instead of doing like one or two factors, small nuanced problems, we're just going to have everybody cheat on everyone, or not actually cheat, but like imply cheating or the thought of cheating with every person. Every adult character in episode 1 had some moment where it seemed like they were going to hint at cheating or like confess that they want to cheat or whatever. I'm like, where did this come from? Why is this happening?
I think it's like I think they are trying to unilaterally give both Clark and Lois this sort of like almost emotionally cheating storyline. And what I, as a viewer, resent is that I can't really enjoy the one of the two that I think could actually be compelling and is not so cheap like an affair storyline and has no, there's no physical cheating, there's none of that. It's not even emotional cheating, but it is just like this complex, angsty situation. I can't enjoy the good acting and the complex, angsty situation because I feel like this is just being set up as leverage so that we see the two of them be, well, I made mistakes and you made mistakes and it was complex, whatever, when he and Lana are getting too close and she and John are dealing with a complex situation and we're supposed to sort of like counterbalance them. I hate this sort of like counterbalancing of wrongs, and I hate this equating of two things that I don't think is the same at all. It's not this, like, you've got this very odd, unique, multiple universe situation with John, whereas you have Clark complaining about dissatisfaction situations in his marriage to a friend, regardless of the fact that she's female, regardless of the fact that she's his ex. But that, the fact that she is his ex also plays into it. Like, those two things are just not the same. And I just know that I'm being set up to be delivered a scene where they're being presented as like, oh, it's okay, we're going to forgive each other and have eternal love because the two are the same. And they're not. So I have like a sense of like righteous indignation. I want to read a comment we got on our live from last week. Let me pull it up. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, while you're pulling that up, I was going to read off Carey's comment. He said, sorry for missing the live. The past 2 weeks have been hectic, but also who's cheating on whom? Nobody's officially cheating on anybody, Carey. It's just we are very worried about the potential.
Clark is emotionally cheating. Superman is cheating on Lois. You heard it here first. Okay. Confirmed.
Stop lying, Carey. They're just going to tease that's where it's going to go.
Breaking news. Okay, so Joshua Rios said, I don't sense any cheating storyline with Clark and Lana. Fair. That's a wholesome take. He says, as for Lois, I feel the writer saw in season 1, the biggest positive reaction was to Elizabeth in angry, emotional scenes. You're so right, Joshua. And they doubled down on them in the premise, but they resolved it by the end. And the teen storyline, I was actually intrigued. Fair enough. They did start out fairly well with the teen storyline in episode 1. He says, not a fan of the DoD storyline. Government agencies are annoying. Strongly agree. And he says, overall, I enjoyed the episode. And this was about last week's episode, but I just wanted to read that out just to give some diverse opinions. Just because I say it's a cheating storyline and I'm right doesn't mean everybody agrees with me. We've had multiple people strongly disagree or moderately strongly disagree, and that's fine. That's fine. I've occasionally been wrong before and just refused to admit it.
I can't think of a time where we were wrong. I'm sure we were at one point in our lives. It's really fine. I think collectively we've watched a dozen CW shows in entirety and know how the CW works, so we know what's going to happen. But I really appreciate that they haven't broken you yet and that you have a more positive opinion about what's happening on your screen.
Yes, I'm hanging in there. Oh, speaking of hanging in there, I know we're 4 minutes over. I'm just going to wrap us up with some quick news. Apparently, they're bringing back to the CW universe a David Ramsey show surrounding
How did I
Justice
forget
Universe.
that?
I was surprised you forgot that, but I wasn't sure if it was because it's like not official yet. Like we don't have a release date, and I don't know that we have an official title. It's just like
No,
it's gonna happen.
I had it written down. I just completely skipped it on my
Okay,
list
take us out.
to mention. Sorry. Yeah, so David Ramsey, it's an announcement that he will be like the star of a new show, which is basically it's called Justice U. Probably should change that, but hey, whatever. It's going to be kind of recruiting and teaching baby superheroes, which is basically he's going to be the DCCW TV version of Sky High, which as a kid who liked Sky High growing up, I'm all down. It has potential to be really good or really bad. We will see. I'm just glad that he's getting his show because we have been screaming for him to get one for years. So good for him.
Very excited, thrilled. Speaking of Sky High, a Sky High lead actress is already in the CW universe via Danielle Panabaker. So they've got a preset crossover there. Well, thank you for staying 5 minutes overtime. Carey, we are sorry to have missed you, but perhaps next week you can join us and talk us, and by us I mean me at least, off of the ledge of seeing Superman and Lois as falling apart and tell me to calm down and enjoy the CW show that I signed up for. Talk to you all next week.